I want to. Okay, we are starting now. We are recording. And today's session is very ambitious again because we have to complement what is in the classroom, bring some clarification, and help you with the walkthrough of the sentimental analysis tutorial. So, as you know, these 3 weeks, we are doing complex analytical application, which is on unstructured data, which is text, part of this is big chunk of big data, and the application is specifically sentiment analysis, and we are using advanced technology, which is in memory analytic on cloud. So we are going to go over this agenda. I'm going to do only the overview, and then I'm going to give Elena to present the other part. So in the classroom, we have a lecture on sentimental analysis. We have a lecture in text mining. We have a lot of reading, as I can observe by the discussion, still not very intense, but it looks people already have read most of the part and is starting the practical work. So what is the technology we are going to use for this assignment? Is something which is very hot topic today, and of course all these hot topics are given by the necessity of the industry, and this is in memory computing. They are kind of application, and they've been not only today, which require that the processing is done fast, and for these purposes, like the name indicate, having the data in memory can perform faster processing, because faster is a key for many businesses for competitive advantage. And this always has been. Now, in memory computing, especially apply to a different problem, which I have in the next slide, like loyalty cards, smart meter, wireless provider. Think about big data. Let's take the example, you are local governments and you want to collect information of all these smart parking meters. And you want to process this information very fast in order to direct the traffic congestion. You understand that information for thousands of meters should be processed in minimum time in order for this decision to be made and have impact in the traffic of the city. Or you are a wireless provider, you want to do some very aggressive marketing, you are targeting millions of customers, blasting with some announcement, and then you need to collect immediately this million of customer reaction in order to process and see what this aggressive marketing is giving you. So problem like this, we are talking about huge amount of data to be processed in very short period of time. The solution in many of these problems, you understand, cannot be the classical in memory. Why? Because we are talking about a huge amount of data. Even though memory today is cheap, we cannot think that physically you can fit data in the physical memory of the computer or on the server. So they are new technology in order to do with this problem. We are not talking about of this brute force where you are going to have all the data in the physical memory. Even with the cheapest physical memory, the solution is not, let's say, price effective. And the thing is, all this solution in memory solution has to be faster, better, and cost effective. If they are not cost effective, they are actually not accepted by the customer. And as customer, I'm talking about businesses who are going to use them. So uh, with this need of the industry and with the advancement of the technology, starting 12 years ago when Google uh, threw this idea to bring computation to memory, evolving to distributed computing where computation is to the memory, which is the effective way to do, let's say, big data analysis. The advancement of fast is not possible to do in this type of architecture. So that's why many of the today players in the analytical world have developed something which is in-memory analytic tool, which is advanced tool. So we are not talking about Hadoop distributed computing, which for certain big data application is very helpful. But when you need fast, Hadoop is not the answer. So we are talking about in memory processing where you will have something cost effective. And we are talking about something which is here down in the last bullet, which is instead the traditional $5,000 per gigabyte, we're talking about new technology where the gigabyte is gonna cost less than 1 penny. So keep in mind, and this is again not directly in memory. This is totally new technology, which is based on something named MPP, Massive Parallel Processing, and many companies, including IBM. IBM has its own patent of MPP, which is blue. Don't think about blue to find out what blue means. It's just they name it blue. Means nothing. That is the name of the patent of massive parallel processing, which IBM used it for their deployment of in-memory analytic database. So in addition, they built in some business intelligence, SQL query, and predictive R modeling. What I want here to, what I have here is the most important, let's say, feature of the IBM in-memory analytic. But keep in mind, if you go to other provider, if you go to Oracle, Oracle has similar product, just with different patent, different in technology behind, but the useful for user point of view is the same thing in memory analytics. AWS has Redis and Microsoft. Every player in analytical world today have this. They must have it because businesses, I already mentioned some application, need this type of technology to do faster and cheaper data analytics. So here are the main characteristics of the IBM deployment of in DB2 warehouse on cloud. And in addition, as you see, this future are telling you that in memory analytic actually is a technology which is not in physical memory. They use different type in this technology, which including prefetching data, not decompression, require not the entire data set. So we are talking about something very advanced. It's not just a chip which is um, not expensive and can fit a lot of data. We're talking combined technology. And again, this is what is MPP. Oh, what I did? Okay. This is the name massive parallel processing. And if you are interested in some of the computational feature of the massive parallel architecture, computational from computer science point of view, I have summarized some of them. I want to stress in something which we should, even as a data analyst, which are not very concerned what is behind from computer science point of view, but should be aware, which is why this massive parallel processing implementation is in-memory wide columnar database. Why columnar? And we talked about this a few weeks ago. Why for big data we are talking about NoSQL and columnar databases? Because for big data, usually the data you are organized in millions of rows and several columns. That is the data for big data. And when you query several of the columns, and you instead to query million of row, which is the traditional querying in the traditional SQL database. So that was the tendency when we start talking about and developer start developing a different columnar databases about NoSQL. Today, both tendencies, SQL and non-SQL, are merging together because, as you can see, even the implementation of DB2 Warehouse is massive parallel processing, is wide columnar database. And we are using SQL on top of that to query the data. This is the today very actual tendency of the merge of NoSQL on SQL. You saw also SQL on top of Hadoop, on top of Spark, and we have also in this technology which is in-memory analytics. Something very important I want just to point to this is if you compare this technology with Hadoop, is different. Again, it's not just that it's fast and it's very cost effective for application like which need real-time analytic. They scale linearly is very important. In Hadoop, you add cluster, you add server, but the performance doesn't um, increase linearly. In this case, in the MPP architecture, if processing is taking, let's say, 1 hour on one server, if you have 4 servers, you will have 15-minute processing. Totally linear. That is the difference between this type. That is one of the differences between this type of technology and what is Hadoop. Both are for different type of problem and, of course, for big data. So that is one important thing I wanted to stress. And here is a summary of everything which encompass what is DB2 on cloud, which we are going to use, which has in-memory analytic technology with built-in predictive modeling. You know that RStudio is built in the environment, and you can run SQL. Also, some other tool which I mentioned here in the bottom of the slide, which are Cloud and Tableau, which we don't have time to connect. But think about, as a data analyst, that you will have to combine all these type of things in order to solve a problem. And in this case, in memory analytics, IBM has built a product where it has embedded predictive modeling, SQL query, and of course, possible to connect with external application like Tableau. So that is the technology we are going to use for this assignment in these 3 weeks. And having said that, I want to mention several things that we are working in the cloud, and you understand. Everyone, I think, understand the benefits of cloud, why companies are moving to the cloud, and why we are training you to work in the cloud. We are training you to work in the cloud because that is the best way to do analytics. For instance, in Watson Studio, as a data scientist, you have at your hand everything in the same environment. You have the computational services, you have data, and you have tools like RStudio and Python Notebook, and you can create projects. So everything is in that platform, which is In case of IBM is Watson Studio. And let me tell you, there is no big difference. Today, most of the big player in this realm, they have very similar thing. But of course, it's not viable that we work in more than one environment. The difference is not big. The difference is mostly in interface and in some feature. So here clearly, I selected the most important benefits of the cloud. So that's why businesses have moved to the cloud. And that's why we are doing. It's very important. I want to stress in the second one, and the first and the second. It's obvious. If you don't have to care about technical personnel for maintenance, for updates, for for energy consumption. All this is taking care about some provider. You have a contract with them, and they are responsible for all these things. Very important is the scalability. Why? Because that's why it's more cost effective. If you have on-premise server where you have built for your company and is to be used, you don't have this server use it constantly with the same lot of work. Let's say on Monday and Tuesday there is huge load, then for 3 days there is no need to work or the load is down. But you still have to maintain, you invest, and these resources are just not used at full capacity. And actually that was the thing which prompted Amazon to build what is AWS. That was the reason. They had the servers, and in December, they had to build a huge, let's say, powerful infrastructure so they can sell, they can accommodate this huge um, flow of customer buying stuff. And then after the season is off, these servers were just idle. And then they decided to build and they decided to sell what is cloud service. So what they have built, uh, that was the way they come up, and the idea is the necessity, and the necessity of the industry actually is very huge driving force of what we see today. So without a need to convince you more, just accept that this is the reality. And of course, beside advantages, you will have to learn to work a little bit different because this is not your personal computer. You are sharing resources with all users in the cloud. And in order for this to be um, let's say, effective and the performance good, there should be some rules. For instance, we have selected in the beginning to work with services in the IBM Cloud, which are not runtime environmental, like the Spark we use it as a service. This is different category, which doesn't have, at least by now, some restriction in the use. But we are going to use now the RStudio environment, which has um, limit for calendar month, which is 50 hours, and you have to take care of it the same way you take about your water and electricity consumption in your home. You open the faucet, you wash your hands, and you close it, right? The same way with electricity, you change the temperature when you leave your house. So it's the same thing. These are the same way you take care in your home, you will have to take care. So everyone, every user in the cloud will benefit for this. This is the way to share and get common benefits. And of course, having this attitude increase performance. That's why for the run environment, they are this kind of calendar month restriction. Actually, this is not very restrictive. I can tell you if you work the way you are supposed to work. RStudio consume 0.5 hour capacity unit, 4 point unit during 1 actual hour. That means that you will have hundreds effective hours in the month. I just make the following account. If as a student in our program, you are supposed to spend between 15 and 20 hours per week for the course. Let's say you have to spend more than half of the time in reading and writing report, then 40% between reading the material and writing the report. This is no less than 60%, and you will spend 40% in actually hands-on working with the environment. That means even if you work 20 hours per week, if you are not very skilled and you will have to spend more time learning in the cloud environment, let's put you will invest half of the time in the cloud. That means 10 hours per week, which for the whole month is 40 hours. And for the RStudio is 20-hour unit. Perfectly okay. If you spend 4 times more, I don't know what type of project you will be able to do, but this is going to be much more than what we are doing in the class. And to work appropriately means that you have to exit the RStudio by the Q command in the console, not by closing the browser tab. If you just close the browser tab, the and you just close the browser, even turn down your computer, your time still is running. You have to exit properly. So that is one of the things. If you don't exit properly, even you turn down your computer by closing the browser tab, the time in your runtime in RStudio will continue to run. And of course, if in 2 hours you don't do anything, there is timeout time. Your runtime will stop. But this is still 1 hour consumed for nothing. So you have to be and you have to learn. It's not just that the time is enough, even if you are careless, because really this time is totally enough, even if you are careless. But you have to learn how to work in the cloud environment, because if we go to do 2 or 3 run environment, then you must follow the rule to work in the cloud environment. And this is just you properly exit the application, and when you go at the end, before exiting Watson Studio, you can select the option of the runtime environment for manage menu and to see that they are not runtime, and then you in peace can just exit Watson Studio, because you assure yourself that really they are not a runtime. So that are the main advice I have. I don't know if there are questions regarding this up to here, because after that I'm handling the presentation to Elena.
Yeah, actually, there is another step that needs to be done after you do the Q command. There is another step to stop the runtime environment. And I was going to show.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Let's see if there are questions. So then, what we can do is you can share your presentation, because oh
the server is going down in half an hour, so
oh well, but
it's
can you move?
7:26.
I can make you presenter. Just a second.
Well, no, because it's 7:26. The server is going down. It might go down at 8. I don't know.
Okay, I'm making you a presenter.
Thank you. Okay, so how should I? I can just move on. Okay. So, I can't move to the next slide.
Can you?
Mm-mm.
I know you can. That is what I'm
Mm-mm.
saying, but I cannot find where is.
That's what I'm doing. I mean, if you click on the next slide, well,
Well, I'm not gonna click on your slide, you know.
oh, I have to go to mine.
Yes,
Okay.
that is what I'm saying. Go to your
Oh,
slide.
but That's a problem. I'm unable to because I'm never sharing.
Okay.
So, I mean, while we're
Okay.
trying to figure this out, would you mind to move your to the
Okay. Hold on for a second. I have
what?
to find where to make you.
Share my screen. Well, if I share my screen, oh wait a minute, I have to open up the same deck of slides then. Okay. Okay, I have the same deck, similar deck of slides on my PC. So if I share my screen, it will be good.
I cannot give you the right. That I'm looking where it is.
Well, but the problem is we have half an hour. Okay, let me see because uh,
Can you click share?
share my screen. Share. I'll be sharing my screen. There you
That's it.
go. Yeah. So you guys can see it, right? So this is the assignment big picture. We're going to read the data set, right? Well, first of all, you're going to read the data set description, right? And you're going to try to understand what data is stored in there. And then you're going to take the CSV file without opening, download it, and you're going to load that into the DB2 warehouse on the cloud. And then you're going to check if there are any errors. You will inspect the table metadata, and metadata is basically data about the data, right? And there are some queries in assignment files that I would like you guys to run, okay? All right. And so you want to make sure that also want to make sure that the number of columns in a table that will be created matches the number of columns in your CSV file. After that, you're going to use the SQL and R to run data analysis. You're going to interpret your findings, and you're going to reflect on your experiment limitation and propose further research. But of course, there are some rules that we need to follow. So please, 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 and I'm not sure how to emphasize this, do not submit any ticket to IBM before first consulting with me and Unesh. Okay? And please do not cancel your IBM Cloud account. Uh, do not update our version in RStudio integrated environment. Please do not add more than one instance of the DB2 warehouse on the cloud. Do not install any packages without consulting TA for approval. There are only 4 of them that are used in the walkthrough. Those 4 are allowed, the rest of it are not. And do not open the application in a multiple browsers at the same time. All right? And of course, you may further run out of the capacity because if you have it open in 2 browsers, that's a problem. When you run in the data load, you want to avoid stopping the process because you're gonna to stop something, you start in another process. So that's gonna be a big problem. Now, this one, somebody always, always, always does it. And I say not to do it. Do not use the Microsoft Word to copy code, especially the SQL, because you can ruin the code and somebody does it all the time. So don't do that. Then pretend that you don't have a browser back button, and then you don't click on X to exit the RStudio. Uh, Now, I don't want you to spend days. Well, I want you to learn how to debug the error, but I don't want you to be spending hours and hours and hours on it. See what I'm saying? So you have to post questions, but you have to post questions effectively, right? Now, here I said do not open the CSV file before you load it. It has to do with the formatting, the date formatting, so it gets corrupted. Now, this one. Well, I don't mean to pick on you, but this is what happens. If you delete the service instance, if you do this, that's it. You're going to lose all work, and you will have to, the lost data cannot be recovered, so you have to start all over. So do not do it, or this is going to be you, this guy here in the picture. Okay, anyways, here's some additional tip. Uh, you want to save all your work on your computer, not just on a cloud environment, like all R code. Then use your TextPad or Notepad for the code. and you want to do all of the ungraded exercises. Well, I'll tell you honestly, the last 3 or 4 I don't expect you to get 100% correct, but I want you to do it. Okay, and you may discuss the exercises in a classroom. Now, I want you to go beyond examples in a walkthrough, and still, you want to make sure you meet the minimum requirement first, okay? Then go beyond, because you don't want to do something that crushes RStudio, so to speak. Now, this is a quote. The best way to get something done is to begin, okay? So just bear it in mind. Alright, so this is what you need to do. This is how the service looks like. This is the correct service to add. And you want to do the entry plan. You get 1 gig free, okay? So if some of you receive this error over here, you have to make sure that you're not exceeding the number of services limit. It's 10. So the Watson Studio and the object storage are part of those 10, and you cannot delete this. So, but what you can delete is go through. If you created more than one Spark service for last assignment, you may want to delete it. Okay, so DB2 warehouse on the cloud, although it does not have a time limit, it has a space limit. So how do I check? This is common question. How do I check the space available on my account? Okay, so this is the DB2 warehouse on the cloud. This is the home page. If I click here, this is how I know. So right now I'm using the 13% out of 1 gigabyte. And bear in mind, I have a lot of stuff loaded in here. Okay, I have a lot loaded. So you're not gonna go over this quota. Okay. So promise me, unless you do something not allowed. What you do when you finish the load, you have to take the screenshot and make sure that the screenshot shows load start and end time. Well, it does not show in here, but yours should show. The one that you submit for grading, it must show when the load started and when the load finished. But this screenshot here, I took it intentionally that I wanted to show you what could go wrong. Do you see this exclamation point? It means something went wrong. And here it shows me the number of warnings. Here I may download the log, right? So this screenshot is just to show you what could go wrong, okay? And you're gonna see the number of, even though no rows are rejected, there could still be errors. And sometimes this could happen. Sometimes you could see extra columns. Well, I cleaned up the data that you're gonna be using for assignment. I cleaned it up, okay? So it's not supposed to happen, because what I did was I did some homework. Okay, I removed some the new line characters. There were some new line characters in some of the data. So let's go ahead. Let me show you quickly how to do that. Okay, take a look. This is what you'll do. You go here, and I realize there are some problems on one of the servers. Okay, because our account are located on different servers apparently. Alright, so I'm taking this, and this is my source. I'm gonna click on next, and right now I have to specify the target, but the thing is I already have this table loaded. So, well, just for the sake of example, let me create another table, and I'm gonna call it Airline Sentiment 2. But please, guys, please don't do this in your homework assignment. If the load does not go well, alright, then you want to remove the table, right? Because that's one way to run out of space when you keep on loading. If you keep on loading the same file multiple times and not deleting what you no longer need. Okay, Airline Sentiment. Okay, and I have to use a different name, because I can have in the same schema you can have only one table with the same name. Well, you might be wondering what schema is. Well, I'm a user, right? My account is also called the database schema. Alright, so I'm gonna click on next right now. On the next page, so this is basically the mapping. It shows the mapping. The field that it's in my CSV file, what is it gonna be like when you load it into the table, right? So that's a mapping between source and target. And sorry guys if I use a little bit complex database terminology because I'm a database person. Anyway, so you want to keep this checked, right? So it means that I'm going to take the first row in my file, in my input file, has the column headings, and I want to keep them as is. Now, make sure that you don't have an error related to the date formats. And trust me, you won't. If you don't open the file that you downloaded from the classroom, you won't have this problem. Okay, click next. Now, those are just the settings. What it says that if you have less than 1000 warnings, right, the load will still continue. But when you have 1000 first warning, the load will terminate. Well, I'm going to do begin load. And so make sure that you understand the steps. So basically what it's doing, it's first taking the data from your hard drive, then it's trying to find the data types. It will create a table, right? Then it will load data, and that's it. Here are statistics, no errors, and it's showing me the number of rows read, number of rows loaded, and, well, there are no warnings, right? So this is what I should be looking for, no warnings, no errors. And in your assignment, right, you have a code that I want you to run. I'm not going to run it for you, but the code basically returns the table names and the columns in those tables, in the tables, right? And you can click on the view table, but one thing that I want to tell you that this is not the most efficient way to validate the load. You usually check the row counts, right? You can preview the first row, but I don't want anybody to say that I validated my load by previewing, by checking all data in the table. I don't want anybody to say that, okay? Okay, so if something went wrong during the load, like extra columns got added, right? Oops, which is not the case for me. But if something went wrong, if you want to get rid of the table, you just click delete table here. That's one way, okay? If you click on delete table, that's it, the table will be gone. But bear in mind there is no undelete, okay? And somewhere I put how to do that. I had a slide on how to delete the table programmatically. There is a way to delete the table. Okay, here it is. Well, I'm using a different table name as an example. Truncate. Well, what the truncate will do is it will not remove the table, but it will remove all data in the table. So I put a little demo here that see that I have a table on my account. I call it a hotel review. So basically, if I run this command, this command will delete all data, will remove all data, and it will reclaim the space immediately. Because I could run the delete command to delete the data, but delete command does not release the space that was taken by the data. Truncate will remove all data, and it will also free up the space. All right. So this is the common interview question you may get. So if you could see, I have a bunch of tables in here. If I go in and I go to explore, see how many tables I've got, right? And I still have not used up all my data. Like see, for instance, this table is hotel review, and I can view data. Do you see it has data right now in there, right? So if I go back to my here, if I go back to the SQL editor, run SQL. Okay, don't pay attention to this. This is a lot of administrative queries that I use for troubleshooting. Alright, so see this? This is a command, truncate table, table name, and then you put the word immediate. So what that will do is it will remove all data from the table programmatically. So go to do run selected. It might take a little bit of time to run. Well, it stays waiting. Okay? But when it's finished, it's going to remove all the data from the table and free up the space. Well, I realize that there are some issues on the server tonight. So if it does not run, in case it does not run, please believe me, this is what's going to happen, okay? Now, on the next slide, I'm showing you this command, drop table and table name. This will remove the table. This will remove the actual table. Truncate does not remove the table, it just removes the data. So I showed you those two things, how to do programmatically, right? This is similar to go in here and click delete. When I go here and click delete, this is similar to this command, okay? You want to know how to do it in the code. You don't just want to rely on the buttons all the time, right? So let me see if it's finished executing. If not, nope. Yes, there is a little issue tonight. Okay. Anyways, uh, some of you may be asking this. You loaded your data, right? You loaded the data. And all of a sudden you forgot to take a screenshot. You got distracted, you forgot to take a screenshot. Well, not a big deal. What you could do, take a look at this. This is your home page. To return to the load status, if you forgot to take a screenshot, go back to the home page and you can double click. See, this is a log of activities. You can double click. See this? So, and this is how you return to the page that shows the load status. And you want to make sure that it shows start time and end time, because it's very important to note how long the load took, right? For me, it was like 10 seconds, something like that. So this is important information. It has to show, okay? To get full credit, your load has to show the rows, loaded rows red, and the time, right? We need to know how long it took. Now let's see what happens if we return to. Well, one thing I wanted to point out that it happens to sort of like save your last code from your last session, but please don't count on it. Okay, please don't count on it. You want to save all code. You want to copy paste in the SQL editor, right? That's what I do. That's what I do. That's an application. So here I have one tab open with credentials. Well, but you can use the notepad. You don't have to use the text pad, but okay. So see this? It says waiting. Yes, I realize that. So usually when that happens, sometimes it does it. If I just exit this and then launch the service again, sometimes it does it. Sometimes it does not. So, well, hopefully the maintenance today will fix it. But what else I wanted to show you here, well, this is a little refresher for the SQL. Those are the components of the SQL statement. Remember that every SQL statement, at least in the DB2, must have select and from, because select is specify what you want the query to return. From is a list of tables where I'm pulling the data from. So for every select statement, these two are compulsory. You have to specify what you selected, and you have to specify where you're getting the data from. Where clause, it filters the rows, right? Like for example, I can say that give me the students who earned more than 85% on a quiz, right? It's just an example. Give me students who got more than 85%. So here, 85% is an individual grade, right? Now group by, this is what I would do is if I want to calculate the class average, perhaps, right? There are several sessions and I want to calculate the session average. And what am I going to group by? I'm going to group by the session, right? Now, suppose that I change the condition. Suppose that there are multiple sessions of data 650, and I want to see the session. I only want to see the session with an average score above 85. In this case, I don't want to look at individual scores above 85. I want to see the session. I'm looking at the average, right? So having clause filters the groups. Because here what I have is that I'm going to have the session number and I'm going to have the average grade in that session, right? And I want to see which sessions got an average grade above 85. It's not individual. Where clause will filter individual students, while having will filter out the group. Okay? And order by is not used for the sorting. You may specify the column name, or you may specify the column position in the query. Okay, so just know that. The tables of the table names, you have to make sure that the spelling of the column name matches the spelling of the actual table name in the database. Well, we're having no luck with this. Well, the thing is, you should be very careful when you try to cancel it, because cancel actually starts another process. Right? It starts another process. Oops. So one way to around this is this. Oops, something's going on. one possible way around this is to just launch the service again. And now remember this. They implemented two-factor authentication. So what that means is that you have to enter your first when you log in. Well, the first thing you do is you log into your IBM Cloud account, right? And now you have to enter your password again. So depending what server you're on, I've seen that on the server 2, the password is towards the top of the credentials and the username towards the bottom. So anyhow, these credentials of this username and password come from your credentials page. And also you're going to need the same credentials to work in RStudio. You're going to need the same credentials here to work in the RStudio. So let's sign in. Let's see what happens now. Okay. I'm not going to worry about the truncate command much, but what I meant to show you is how to do the subqueries today, right? So let me go back to this here. Well, okay, what is a subquery? Subquery is a query inside the query. You can put the subquery in a select clause, from, where, and having. Right? Those are part of the query where you can put. Well, there is also the with subquery that goes above select, but don't worry about this. You're not going to be asked about it, right? Now, if you have a subquery in a where clause or having clause, the query returns one value. The query may return one value, or it could also return the list. Right? It could also return the list of values. Now, the from clause, it's like think of it as a virtual table, right? You're selecting something, and then you're selecting from whatever you selected. Well, I need to show a specific example for that to make sense. Like an example I have here on the slide, and I also have the code. So I'm looking at the airline data, and see that you have a field called negative reason confidence, right? And I want to pick the airlines that have an average confidence higher than the overall average negative reason confidence. I want to pick the airlines, right? See this? I'm sorry, I want to pick the negative reasons, sorry. I want to pick the negative reasons, right? Negative reason is one of the fields in a table. So that's basically the reason why somebody rated, somebody gives a negative rating for the airline, right? And I want to, first of all, what I need to do is I want to calculate, right? Averages will calculate the average negative reason per sentiment, right? It will calculate the average, right? So this is what it's doing. But I don't want to see all negative reasons. I only want to see the negative reasons with an average confidence above the overall average. So think about it this way. If I knew what my overall average was, right? I would suppose that my overall average is 0.5. I'm just making it up. I would have said just where average is greater than 0.5, right? That's what I would have done if I knew the number. But the problem is the number could change. We want it to be dynamic, right? So what I did was I wrote this little child query here to calculate the overall average, right? This computes the overall average negative confidence. And this thing here will substitute right here. See that? Instead of plugging in the actual number, I plug in the subquery that gets me that number. I mean, I hope, guys, it makes sense to you. Well, sometimes when you see it for the first time, it may take a little while. Like, see here, this is the average, right? I could run this one first, take this number, and plug it in, right? But the problem is, why should I be running two queries just to get the information I need? Why can't I just take this whole thing and substitute in here in parentheses, right? So that's the whole point of the subquery. And I have some code here, and I was going to share this code with you. I was going to share this code with you. And if you notice that I'm not copying the code from the PowerPoint presentation because you can get yourself in trouble easily. So now let's try to go to run SQL and see what happens now if it cooperates. Okay, well, okay, now let's see what happens. But if it does not, guys, you know, I have a backup method, I have screenshots. So let's see. I showed you the screenshot, right, as a backup. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Well, see guys, this is something that we have no control over, right? So let's not get upset over something that we have no control over. Anyways, okay, so here, see this query, this piece right here, it's supposed to return me the average negative sentiment. If this cooperates, right? So I could either highlight it or I could just put my mouse on top of this, right? And then I just goes here and I do run selected. If this cooperates, I'm wondering there is a possibility that they might be taking it down. Okay, there we go. Well, I'm being okay. Okay. Well. Oh, I see. I see what it did. It thought that I was running the top query. It ran the wrong query for me. Okay, it ran the wrong query. Let's see that. Let's run this again. Run selected. Okay, now it's doing what I want to be doing. Now it's doing what I want to be doing. So see this, guys? Here, this is an average, right? What I could do here, I could just go in and I say where this average is greater than 0.63, blah, 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 right? But instead, I put this subquery here because I don't want to care about the plugging in. I don't want to be plugging in that thing all the time. Every time, I don't want to be running two. I want to be running one query. Oh, I see what's going on. I see what's going on. It's because I see what's going on. That's me. That's me. I had to do select, and then I had to put the negative reason. Oops. Control C. That was my mistake. Okay, there we go. And then here is a comma. Okay, so this is supposed to calculate the negative reason, the average negative sentiment per negative reason, and it's supposed to exclude the negative reasons where the negative reason confidence is below average, right? So run, and I'm gonna do run selected. Okay, hoping it should work. All right. So this is what it is, right? This is what I got. Here I'm grouping by negative reason. On one of your assignments, you were asked to put two grouping columns, right? So for instance, if I want to do the airline, right? That's what you would do. You would just do this, right? Assuming that that's the right field. If you want to show this per airline, I want to see in the first column, I want to see the airline name. In the second column, I want to see the negative reason. And in the third column, I want to see the negative confidence for the airline in column 1 and negative reason in column 2, right? So think about it this way. So what I have to do is this, right? I have to add the airline to my group by clause. That's it. See this, every non-grouping column that you list in a select clause has to be listed in a group by clause. That is it. I just added. That's it. This is what you were expected to do in one of the Spark assignments. Just add one column. That's it. So let's do that. Oops, run and run selected. And you'll see what it does. That's it. So this is column 1 is an airline name. Column 2 is a negative reason, and this is the average negative sentiment for the airline in column 1 and negative reason in column 2. Okay, so that's what it's doing here. So it was a subquery with 2 columns. I gave you an example of that. And we killed the aggregation, right? In the same example. We showed the aggregation in the same example. Now, here, well, this screenshot is just showing you what could go wrong. This error message indicates that you misspelled the column name. You have to make sure the spelling of the column name is correct. So you get something like not valid in the context, blah, blah, blah. Okay? And this error means the table name is misspelled. You have to make sure that the spelling is the same. Well, when you're just selecting something from the table name does not have to be in the uppercase. On the other hand, when you query the data dictionary, then when you query the data dictionary, all tables are stored in the uppercase. All usernames on all tables are stored in the uppercase in data dictionary. All right? So here, well, this is a troubleshooting, because for some reason, if your query returns more than a certain number of rows, you only get to see the subset of rows. So sometimes you want to know how many rows got returned. So this is what you do. You just do this. And see, this is another example of the subquery. You do this select count star, right? Okay, select count star from, and then you put your query in parentheses. Oops, like this, and then you put another closing parenthesis here, right? Oops, not here, all the way at the end, but right before the semicolon. There we go. So if you run this one here, select count star from, and then that's a big subquery, right? Ooh, this is what I did. Yeah. Okay. So now let's run this. Something wrong here. Let's delete this line above. Well, it's a little bit slow to respond. Today. See, this is an error. So whenever you see this X over here, well, X indicates something was wrong, okay? X indicates something was wrong. And I deleted that part that I did not want. So now let's try run selected. See, it's a little bit slow to respond. They might be shutting down this any minute, so oops. Yeah, no luck. Okay. Well, basically what I do whenever I put something like this, it's going to return the row counts. Okay? Oh, okay. Come on, please respond, Okay. All right. Okay. Well, let's focus on the slides. Okay. Now, here, this is some of you may have received this, right? Invalid operation error. Well, it happens when the session times out. You try to run something and the session times out. So if you get invalid operation error, you have to log out and log back in. This is another possibility. If your session timeout, you can get this here, right? So now let's go back. Well, I realize that it's 8, but if the service goes down at 8, it does not necessarily mean that the clock strikes 8 and it will go down. So we're being optimistic. And this one returns the count. Sees it? So that my query returns 38 rows. Right? The query condition matches 38 rows. Now we're gonna go back to the RStudio. And this is an RStudio. When you launch it, well, you were asked to select the project, and I have a project called Fall 2018, right? This is a project that RStudio is in, and anything I do will be saved in a. If I was going to upload the files, right, they would have been stored in the object storage in a bucket for this project, but we're not going to do that. What we will do is that we're going to read the data from the database. That's the whole idea behind this demo. We're going to read the data from stored in a database into R. So all of you will install the IBM DBR package. This is important because that package is used to read data from database. You're going to install the TM, word cloud, snowball C. Well, cluster is, this package is already installed. Do not install packages that are already installed. I put it here in the script for a reason, because I wanted to show you that you can do key-means clustering in R. Okay, I wanted to show you that you can do clustering. Okay, but these four are the packages that you're going to install. Okay, these four. And you may see that NPL gets installed together with the TM because of the dependencies. Now, well, these two, I loaded them for a reason, because I want to use them. I will load them for a reason, because I want to use them for some visualizations that I'll do here quickly. So, I'm not going to run the package to install again. I'm not going to run the code to install again, so I commented it out. Oh yeah, by the way, speaking of comments, in R, the comment is a hash mark, and in SQL, the comment is double dash. Double dash is a single line comment, and if it's like this, in SQL, this is a block comment. Okay? So the comments are different in SQL. Alright, so let's just run this. I got an error, that's because I highlighted the part of the line, not the whole line. Loading in memory. Okay, now we load in the TM. Every time when you start a new session, you have to load the packages in memory. Well, now look at this. I'm getting the message, but this is not an error. This message is informative. And what it's telling me is that TM package and a rules package, they have a function in common. And the function is inspect. They have a function in common. So now if I load my text mining package, TM package, if I was going to use the inspect function in a rules package, I need to qualify the function name with the package name. That's what this message means here. It's not an error, but it just informs me that I have two packages with a function that has the same name. Alright? So now I'm going to do the, well, I'm not, well, see this, you should have guys stop me, but well, you don't see the code that I have. I should not be loading the word cloud in memory, because I did not intend to show you the word cloud today, right? So you don't want to load in memory what you not intend to use, okay? A cluster, the reason I loaded it to memory is because you need it if you're doing a k-means cluster plot, okay? Now, this piece is important to connect to the database, but you guys want to put your host in here, right? Most of you are on node 02. Some of you were asking me what I mean by node. See, this is a different, well, think of it as a different URL, right? Different server. Okay? Well, different computer within the server. Not sure how to explain it, but okay. So, and this is my schema name, and this is my password. Here, this is in lowercase, not in the uppercase here. Okay. So now let's go ahead and run this thing here. What this will do, it will just add the variables to the environment for right now. I haven't done anything yet. Now I'm going to establish the connection, right? And hopefully, before the server goes down, we can read the data, and then we can continue in R. Well, let's see. If they didn't take it down, we'll be lucky. If they did, then, well, you know, if they take it down, then there is nothing we can do. We cannot be upset over what we cannot control of. Okay. Okay, let's see. Oh, did I run this line? Let's see. Okay, well, looks like they took the service down. Okay. Let's see. Well, when this happens, right, I knew that there's going to be the maintenance tonight. We should not be upset over something that we have no control over, right? So let me see. Oh, okay. Fingers crossed. Yes, the server went down. Okay. But guys, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you that code, okay? I'm gonna give you that code, and you're gonna play around with it as a homework, right? You're gonna play around. Oh, you see this? Yeah, yeah. Because the database went down. There is a maintenance going on. But let me demo something else. I'm gonna give you this code, and you're gonna run it as a homework, okay? Little homework. And what this code is gonna do? Well, here I have two pieces which are not in your these two pieces are not in your walkthrough. Well, it's not in here. Oh, it's in this one, our demo. This is the code that I put. There are a couple things that are not. Well, here, this query, remember that this query is going to return the table that you own. And I'm trying to show you that you can run the same query from R, right? We can run the same query from R. And this, what this will do is, it will just display the output. Now here, if I give you this code, you need to change this one to your schema name. This is going to be your username. In this case, it's going to be in uppercase because this is a system table, right? Or let's say it's a metadata table, table that stores data about tables, and your schema name is in uppercase, right? And all table names are in uppercase. So you can run the same query within R. IDDF is going to run this query for me. And here, what I'm doing is this will be another beautiful visualization. I will let you play with it, okay? And here, I took the same text preprocessing, almost the same from your walkthrough, and then I'm running the k-means clustering. I'll give you guys the code, but there are two things important, and this is going to be for you the review, the elbow method, the method we use to determine the optimal k-value. So here I'm just plotting the total distance, square distance between clusters, and total square distance within clusters. So if you may not remember that the goal is to minimize the distance within and maximize the distance between. So you plot those two, and then you want to look at the inflection point. Okay? And you have to load the cluster package to members to build the plot. Okay? So we're gonna go with slides. So don't worry, Yelena has a lot of backup plans. Right, so this slide shows you how to load data in R, right? And you want to, very important, do not use your schema name. And see, on purpose I put something different here. So I mean, do not put my schema name. You have to use your schema name, right? Now this is an error message that shows something go wrong. This you might get when something went wrong with the connection, like I just did, right? Well, this is what I did. I made sure that my username and password are correct, which are, but the service was down, so that's one reason I could not get in. Okay, well, you know, we cannot get upset over things we cannot control. We have to do what we can control, and what I could control was to prepare the slide with an output. So this command either show tables will return the tables you have in your schema, right? This command is going to show you the table that starts with string air, and here I'm just checking if the table exists, right? That's what I'm doing. And this query here, basically I'm just showing that you can run the same query, the similar query to what we ran in a DB2. Well, and suppose that if my query does not work here, if it runs an error, just for the troubleshooting, go back to DB2 warehouse and try to run the query in there and correct the errors, and go back and put it back, right? So here, I display it. The query returns the airline sentiment, an account, right? Number of tweets. And here, see this, I have to group by two fields, airline and airline sentiment. And here, I only want to see the records where you have at least 1,000 tweets, 1,000 and more. That's what I'm doing in here, right? Now, we'll go back here. Those are, does it look familiar? In your walkthrough, you have these two queries that you run in the DB2 warehouse. And what I'm showing on the slide is that you can run the same queries within R. You can run the same queries in R. This is how you do it. Okay, and here it is. So that's basically, well, this is another issue. When you do the text mining, sometimes you may see that no rows got returned, like a row it does not return anything. So you want to check if the database connection is open, and then you want to check your query in the DB2 warehouse, right? So if the query returns unexpected result, like null, you want to check if you were actually pulling data from the database. If you want to check the query in the DB2 warehouse, make sure there is no syntax error. And you want to check the column names and table name, everything. Make sure the spelling is right. Okay? So here, this is what I was talking about earlier. If you get this error message, right? Now I'm trying to run my association rules, and I'm trying to preview the first 15 rules, right? As you may remember, when I loaded the text mining package to memory, I received a warning. And the warning message said that my package, my inspect package in a rules, my inspect function in a rules package was masked by the inspect function in a text mining TM package. So if I want to use the inspect function in a rules package, I need to qualify the function name with the package name. This is what you need to do. Well, it's a good practice to qualify the function name with the package name. All right? That's what you do. I'm sure that you might receive this error, similar error a few times. There are several packages have functions in common. Now, this at the top, it shows you how much space you are using at the moment. See this? I'm using 13% of space, but I can show you what conserves this space. Yelena, I like, that's me. I like to play around with the visualizations, and I had more than 100 plots in here. And my disk usage went over the roof, so I had to go back and save the plots that I needed, take screenshots and save on my local hard drive and delete. The plots take space. Another thing, this is your environment window in RStudio, and you know that you can toggle between list view and grid view. When you take this into the grid view, it's gonna tell you the object size, and you can also sort this out by the size actually, right? Your terms matrix, the terms matrix is going to take a lot of space. So you want to make sure that you delete it, right? You want to delete everything that you no longer need to conserve the space. And so when you exit the RStudio, let me show you what you need to do. You have to do this. You can select quit session, or you can type Q command from the menu. Oops, no, that's not what I want. I want to do this. Let me type Q. This is what I actually want. And now it's going to ask me if I want to save. Yes, I want to save whatever I saved. And now, see this? It's asking me if I want to save .r data file. .r data file will remember the state of the current session. This is especially helpful if you had been using too much space. If you were using too much space, delete what you don't need, then quit and save the workspace image. This is very important. You want to save the workspace image. When you save the workspace image, have as less stuff as possible loaded in memory. Then, next time you open RStudio, it won't take as long to load. See this? I finished the session. Now what I have to do, I'm not done yet. Ooh. Okay. So now I have to go back to the DB2 warehouse on the cloud. Oops, not DB2 warehouse on the cloud, but I have to go back to the, oops, I should not have closed the tab. Watson Studio, and I'll show you what you need to do. What? Well, oops, usually when I just Google it, it comes up. You have to go back to your project, and you have to shut down the runtime environment. You have to shut down the runtime environment, IBM Watson Studio. So usually when I Google it, it just comes up. That's one way. Ooh, Watson Studio. No. Ooh, sign in. Yeah, there are two sign-in pages, and it's going to remember me. It's going to remember that I had an active sessions. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the tools. I'm going to select the project. I'm going to select the project from the tools. Let me show you what I have to do. I have to go back to the project. This is what I have to do. I have to go back to the project that I associated with my studio with, and then I have to click on environment, and I have to physically stop the environment. This step is very important. Okay, looks like I'm back. So look, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna click, do this, tools projects, right? Select project. This is the one I use. This is the project I use. Fall 2018. I'm gonna open it. Now I'm gonna go to the environments tab. Okay. So see, remember how you have several tabs in the project. One tab is assets, another one is settings. But I'm interested in environments, and it's gonna show you the runtime environment that's currently active in that project, in this specific project. And when it's done, here it is. It's gonna now show me it's loading. Do you see this? Do you see this? If I do nothing about it, if I leave it like this, it's gonna keep running for 2 hours. But you have to close this. So now I had it open for about a little more than an hour. I had it open for a little bit more than an hour, and see I consumed 0.6. And Elena is gonna be smart. She's gonna do this. She's gonna stop this, and I'm gonna confirm, right? So, well, suppose that you don't remember in which project you started this. If you don't remember which project you used to start the environment, you can do this. You can go to manage, and you can go to environment runtime, and in here it would list all the runtimes that you are currently running, and your current monthly consumptions is gonna be here. So today is what, the 30th, and this is what I've used so far, and this is what I still have remaining. One thing that I do not know if the unused hours can be carried over to the next month. Probably not. But I do not know. On the first, I'm going to find out. But I think no. But that nobody has asked me this question. I just came up with this question. See, this is the hours remaining. But I'll tell you, I was testing the code for the assignment. I'm doing the demo right now. I was preparing for the demo. I was using RStudio quite a lot. And this is the total usage rate for October. So if you spend as much time to actually doing the work as I did, I'm sure that you'll do an excellent job. If you spend this time effectively, if you're actually producing the work during that time, right? Okay, so well, that's basically most of the presentation, and that's about RStudio environment. That also you have a 5 gigabyte of RAM, right? You have 5 gigabyte of RAM in that RStudio environment. But some of you, I realize some of you have used the resources during the last assignment, the Spark, because PySpark consumes more per hour, and you left it running. Well, the good news are in a couple days from now, the count will be reset, right? Until then, just focus on loading the data, work on SQL ungraded exercises, and I want you to try all of them. I expect you to get at least the first 5 or 6 right, but the last 3, 4, I want you to attempt them, but I don't expect that you get it 100% correct. I don't expect that, but I want you to aim to get it, right? Anything else I may have forgotten to tell? Well, it's so sad that, oh, I could try this. I can do this. I can try to launch RStudio in another project, just in case if I have that. Sometimes you're lucky. Sometimes you left something loaded in another project environment. See, what I had to do, if I read the data before they shut it down for maintenance, I would have been fine. I would have been fine if I read the data before they shut down, then we could just work with the data. But, well, well, that's too late. And again, if things like this happens, like unexpected maintenance, well, we all be aware of and we'll work with you. But I don't want you to get stressed out. I don't want to get upset or worried, because by getting upset, there's nothing we can change, right? Yeah, so like today they shut it down for maintenance, but the good news, hopefully they will fix the issues that we've had, right? So here it takes a little bit of time to start the RStudio session, and it could be because I may have forgotten to remove some stuff from the memory, right? So, but you want to conserve the resources. Oh, and what I meant by going beyond, let me show example. In your walkthrough, there is a code to build the network of terms, right? But to go beyond the walkthrough, can you do something like this? Think about it. Can you? Is there is a way you can take the code that is in a walkthrough and build something like this? So this is one way to go beyond. If you use a network of terms, perhaps, can you identify the subsets of terms? Something like that. This is one way to go beyond, and it's discussed somewhere in the reading. So just few more lines of code. Okay. So this is one way to go beyond. Um, and this is still iGraph package. You don't need. There is no other package you need. Or another alternatively, you could say, okay, see this. This is a network of terms. Is there a way that you can some kind of like use the different size for a vertex depending on how many times the term repeats, right? Can you do that? Something like that. This is how you would go beyond example that's in a code given, right? So if you're choosing the network of terms, think about this. Think about something like this, okay? Just think about it. Or you can think about line having different widths, right? Depending on certain conditions. Like if two words appear together more than certain number of times, well, Okay, the line width could be proportional to the number of times that the terms appear together, right? Well, I'm just giving you some ideas of what you could do to go beyond. But first, you want to make sure that the basic code works, and then you start adding to it, right? Well, it's just an example. I just gave you an idea of what you could do. And see this? Oh, no way. See this? I don't have it loaded in memory, so the service is down. We won't be able to do what I wanted to do, but I'm going to give you the code for this demo. I'm going to give you the code, and you're going to look at it at your leisure, okay? So it's just going to be an example of running the clustering method. How does it sound? Will that work, right? And I believe that code somewhere in here. There are a few lines of code that I had to run to produce that visualization. I have a bunch of code in here that I was using for the testing and for the practice purposes. But there are several lines of code that you need to write to build that beautiful visualization. Okay? Well, it's going to be your task to figure out what this is doing if you go beyond these few lines of code. We'll do this, okay? Alright, so basically I'm just checking the degree of a vertex, and the vertex size could be proportional to the degree, right? Could be proportional to the degree. Well, you can play around, but here in this specific case I'm identifying the subset of terms, and if you do this one right here, you can print the terms, right? So it's something that you can go beyond. Okay, so let's see if we have questions. So if you guys using the network, I wanted to modify the code, make the vertex size different, right? And you can play with the line width. You can show the subsets like this. Yeah. If I could do it, you could do it. Follow examples. Any questions? I want you to guys ask questions now. Questions? Guys, if you're so quiet, if you don't ask questions, I'm gonna start asking you questions. Okay? I'm gonna start asking you questions. So everybody remembers what a schema is, right? And everybody remembers that your schema is different from my schema. And everybody remembers that you're not gonna use my password, right? You're gonna use your password, your credentials. right? Uh, Guys, are you still awake? If you're still
Hey, Lina, I have one question. So since
yes.
nobody is asking,
Yes.
can you go to the slide 24, where like a subquery one?
Okay, slide 24. This one? Yes.
The subquery one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you have mentioned that the where and having clause of the main query only takes a single value.
Well, where they can return multiples. They can return multiple actually. Well, it's because if they return multiples, then you cannot use equal. You have to use in. Like here.
Inter, yeah.
Yes. In this example, I used greater than. I used greater than.
Right.
Yeah, the examples that I give here, it's a single value. But you can use multiple values. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
But I think like the having clause, probably I cannot. I have to use only single value.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try again when the SQL, DB SQL comes up. Because when I tried, I think in the having clause it was saying it has to be, it should not. Well, maybe I'll try again and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, well, we can try it. But I would think yes. If I want to look at the specific values, the average is either 100 or 50. Well, I'm going to check, but I think that should work. But we'll see. Yes, but if you're using multiple values, you have to use the multi-values operators like in. Yeah. I hope it helped.
Thanks, Elena.
Yeah, sure. But I think it went down, but I have like more complicated words.
That's why I was waiting for the past 2 days, but let's see, hope today it will be the day.
Yeah, this is more advanced. This one is just checking the average for airline. Okay. Well, it's taking the average per location, and then it's pulling the location with a count above average. So see here, this is a subquery inside the from clause right here. And after that, it's doing the sorting. But something to point out, when they do the sorting, you can actually spell the column name or you can put the column position in a query. So here, this one is a position 2. That's what you can do, right? Yeah. And this one, well, I wish we had time to show you this one. This will do the concatenation. It will list the airline name here, and then in here it's going to list the location, and this is going to be the semicolon delimited list of negative reasons associated with this location. But if you do something like this, you have to be careful because there is a limit on number of characters. Okay, well, I was going to show you guys, but the server went down. And take a look at this. This is advanced. You have something similar in your ungraded subquery text. In your ungraded subquery, you have something similar. So what this will do is, in the first column, it will show me the tweet location. In the second column, it will show me the number of positive tweets, number of neutral, number of negative. The way I'm doing it here, I'm using the decode function, count decode. You can also use a case statement, or you can do it with a join. You can do it with a self join. You're basically, well, there is a similar query in ungraded exercises set. Next week you'll see a solution, and something like this can be solved in multiple ways. This is my favorite. Use decode or use the count decode. Well, basically what decode does is it's going to look at the airline sentiment, and if the value is positive, it's going to count it as 1. If the value is not positive, it's going to be null, right? And when you run the count function, it ignores the nulls, right? So it will count the number of ones. Decode, basically, what it does is that it takes this and it checks if it's positive than 1, right? Otherwise, I can specify what to do otherwise. but I did not, right? And this is how I'm counting: positive, neutral, negative, and then here, see this? I want to only see the ones with that have the total number of tweets greater than 25. Not sure why, but I just put that. I just throw it in there. Okay, so count one is gonna give you the total number of rows, right? On the other hand, if I wanted to do something like count airline sentiment, it will give me the total number of rows where airline sentiment is not null. Okay. So are you guys okay? Do we have questions? What happened to Elena? Is she here? Elena, are you here?
I see her on the list. I mean, I see the participant list.
Oh, Vinesh, I'm glad you joined. Is there anything you would like to add?
No, I think you pretty much covered it all. Sorry, I joined in late.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the biggest issue, I hope we kind of covered that earlier, is the running up to the capacity for the month, and for which we really do not have any kind of a workaround. So the best would be to kind of utilize the R capacity, as and when required, and shut it down. That's a very, very important step, because you may run out of capacity soon, especially if you're in the middle of your assignment and doing it, and you could be stuck with it. So be very careful with that.
No, sorry. Oh, it went back up! Yay! No. Yes, it went. It's a services backup. Do you see that? I was able to run. I was able to get in now.
Yeah.
You saw that? Oh,
Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
yay! So this one is going to return me the information. That's a query I showed you. This one is going to return me the table name and the columns in the table, table creator, which is me, and this is the column data type. Nulls means if the column can have empty values, right? And the length. Okay. Now here, well, this is what I'm doing. I'm just reading this, and we're so lucky that the thing came back up. Now,
Elena, I just wanted to confirm that the Note 2 also working fine now.
I have not checked the. I have not checked. I have not checked the Note 2 because
no, I just checked it. Yeah, I just checked while you are saying.
Yeah, well, but my thing came up. My note came up, so I could just go in and.
No, what I'm saying is our Note 2 also came up. It is working now.
It is?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Oh, yay! Thank you. So,
Okay, yeah. Quiet.
Yeah, no, but the thing is...
But you have to let students ask questions also. That is the only thing I want.
No, but what I'm saying, Yelena, suddenly, well, it was down. I could not run anything.
Well, we understand it's maintenance time, and
it's up now. Yes. I mean, at some point, people were mad at me when I was database administrator. I was taking things down, but I mean, people had to understand that sometimes if I take something down, yeah.
Okay. The maintenance window is 4 hours. So working in 5 minutes is gonna be down.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, but you know what? I already read my data, so my data is already read.
Okay. I just want that everyone is clear what's going on.
Yeah. So see that? I mean, yeah. So what I did was I ran the k-means clustering, and this is going to be the cluster plot. And some of you, well, the thing is, some of you may say that it's a little bit hard to read. So what you do is you can print this, and it will show you which terms appear together. Well, it will rather show you the cluster where the term falls under, right? And if you use this method, I would rather have you run this, the elbow method to see the optimal k value. right? And you want to look at the inflection point, right? So this was not in the walkthrough, so that's the reason I threw it in here, yeah. And see, I explained what I meant by, well, you may have been away, right? I explained what I meant by going beyond. Like, for instance, seeing if you can produce something like this, take the code for the airline, sentiment, and it's just an example. See if you can identify the subsets of terms. Just add to what I already given. Not just you're not just gonna be taking and dumping the code. You're not gonna be plugging in the code from the walkthrough to your assignment 3. This is no. You have to modify it. You can reuse pieces, but you have to. It has to be your work. You have to put something to it, your personality to it, so to speak. All right, Yelena? Yelena, are you with us? Linesh?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, but what happened? Where's Yelena, I think?
She may have gone on mute.
Yeah, she wanted to say something and to close it. Yelena, we cannot hear you. Linesh, would you mind to send her chat message?
Yeah, let me do that.
Well, because while we're waiting for her, I ended up talking, so we'll...
So Elena, I'll take my word back. In the having also you can have a multi-select.
I'm sorry, I didn't...
As long as it's an in class. As long as there is an in class for the having, we can have the subquery which returns more than one user can.
So you can, right?
I just tested it. Yeah, we can. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, exactly. Well, yes, because I have seen it. Somewhere. Oh, I do the queries a lot. I do a lot of SQL and reporting. Yeah, but 6 years ago I was DBA. 6 years ago, I was a database administrator, but not anymore.
It's wonderful to know, Elena.
Good
to know. I mean, you have varied experience. Good to know.
Well, but right now I'm doing reporting and I'm doing a lot of SQL. So. Yeah, and yeah. So, let's see, Linesh, any luck with conducting Yelena?
I just text her, but no luck yet. Don't see any response back from her.
Okay. Well, during the maintenance windows, the service can go up and down. That's right. But well, another thing is that sometimes rebooting the server clears up the space.
Yelena, do you want to kind of show everyone the status page, so in case anybody is seeing, if anybody is having issues with the service, they see that things are not working as it should be. Maybe the best way is to kind of go to the status page and look at the service and see if it's going through a maintenance or if there are issues going on. So this way, you know that there's an issue and you need to kind of wait until it kind of comes back.
Well, yeah, what Elena was trying to say earlier, sometimes it goes up and down during the maintenance because they have to keep on bouncing the system. Well,
right. But at least if there's something, like for DB2, if there's something kind of, like in this case, it is already posted, right? Something is going on. So we know that if something's not working, people would not be just trying different things unnecessarily.
Status. There is a status page. Oh,
yeah.
I'm not sure why, but it's not clickable now. I can't just. Oh, because see that you see it's something. It's because I have a lot of stuff open in the come on. Well, basically the status page is going to list all of the services and what's their current status. So if you see the red one, it means it's certainly down. But if you see the yellow one, it means it could be down. But well, maybe you'll be able to log in, but not use every functionality. No.
So, like for example, if you see the second row there, it says DB2 warehouse entry plans, and it's US South. So impacting from October 30th, 8 p.m. to 3:31 p.m. October 29th, right? So this is kind of already, so last update, okay, that was the last update, sorry. But for October 30th, 8 p.m., it may be going through a maintenance window.
This one, yeah. This line, yeah. Well, yes, you have to look at your region.
Right. So you can check the notification or the status and, mark this URL, which is, console bluemix.net/status, and see if that kind of, works for you, and you get this page that Yelena is just sharing with you all.
Yes, I'm trying to get into it, and I don't know what's going on. Well, maybe because we're doing lots of updates tonight. Okay, or it has to do with my computer overheating. Anyways, well, basically, the problem was there was a problem with the space on the second server. When you create an instance, it's supposed to allocate the quota for your username, for your tables. And something went wrong and it was not allocating the space. That was the problem. And if you saw, I had some queries in my SQL editor. Those were the queries that I was running to check the space and the status of the schemas, just for the debugging purposes. What was it supposed to create internally when the account is created? That's what I used for troubleshooting with some of you during the screen share. So that's how I figured out that, okay, it was not allocating the space. And by the way, the sample schemas, the sample data is not part of your usage. They are not, because that's basically think of it as another user sharing data with you. Okay, think of it this way. It belongs to another user, and it's like they're sharing it with you, so to speak. I would have to check how it's defined. It could be done either through just by granting privileges to everyone, or it could be done through public view. Well, I'll have to check how it's set up in here. I'm not sure how, but there's more than one way to do it. Okay,